Today we got the Uvalde school shooting. This is gonna be a touchy subject that involves children and children dying. So if you guys don't wanna, watch this video, click off. But yeah, we're gonna watch this so we can learn of what not to do, and let's see if we learn to take better steps when a school shooting does happen. Here we go.
I'll be honest.
And RIP to all the lives that were lost.
I've been struggling to finish this episode. My brother's a cop. I respect law enforcement. I know it's an underpaid, thankless job that most people wouldn't dare do, and many people who criticize will never know what it feels like to have your life on the line. An armchair criticism is easy when you've never faced a life or death situation yourself. But what happened in Uvalde, Texas cannot be excused. It can't be brushed off as confusion or bad communication. Children were trapped inside a classroom. Shots still rang out. Blood was leaking under the door. And for 77 minutes,
they just stood there.
Police stood outside while some parents begged, some were handcuffed, and inside the school, children died.
That's what I don't understand, why they didn't rush in. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
So how did so many trained police officers let this happen? And why did it take over an hour to act while shots were still being fired? And who, if anyone, has truly been held accountable? Let's try and find out.
Hello, I'm Mike Droberg.
Shout out Mike Droberg.
We're a veteran and filmmaker, and we will try to answer these questions on today's episode of Forgotten History.
We watched some of his videos before. We watched the Las Vegas Massacre. He's the one that covered that. So shout out to bro. Forgotten History.
On May 24th, 2022, on the last week of school at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, kids were winding down, looking forward to summer. The weather was hot, the mood was light. No one knew a monster was coming. His name was Salvador Ramos, 18 years old, isolated, angry. He had recently dropped out of high school and spent most of his time online, where he posted threats, violent fantasies, and
No, he was never reported.
selfies with firearms. People flagged his behavior on social media,
Never mind.
but nothing was done. That morning, he argued with his grandmother. Then, he grabbed a rifle, one of two he had legally purchased just days after his 18th birthday, and shot her in the face. She survived, ran to a neighbor, and called 911. Ramos fled in her truck. At 11:28 a.m., he crashed into a ditch near Robb Elementary. Armed with an AR-15 and over 1,600 rounds of ammunition. At 11:28 a.m., he crashed into a ditch near Robb Elementary. Armed with an AR-15 and over 1,600 rounds of ammunition, he climbed a fence and walked across the schoolyard, carrying the rifle.
How was he never reported? I'm not, school should carry way more security. Way more security.
In broad daylight. And here's the first critical failure. The school district police officer assigned to patrol the campus was nearby, but he didn't see Ramos.
What?
Reports later revealed he drove right past him.
No way.
Others say he didn't see Ramos. Reports later assigned to patrol the campus was nearby, but he didn't see Ramos. Reports later revealed he drove right past him.
Wow.
Others say he saw someone in the distance and mistook a teacher for the shooter. Either way, he never confronted him.
Damn, how do you confronted him?
Even worse, a back door to the school had been propped open. A teacher at Robb Elementary propped open the west entrance door to the school had been propped open. Teacher at Robb Elementary propped open the west entrance door using a rock at approximately 11:27 a.m., just before Ramos arrived. The teacher had gone outside to 11:27 a.m., just before Ramos arrived. The teacher had gone outside to retrieve her cell phone from her car and left the door ajar behind her. It was a common shortcut used during the school day. When she saw the crashed truck and Ramos approaching with a rifle, she ran back inside and kicked the rock away, letting the door close behind her. But the door did not lock, as it should have. Turns out, the strike plate and the locking mechanism were faulty, meaning the door appeared closed but was not secured. Ramos walked into the school at 11:33 a.m. No alarms, no locked doors, no resistance. At 11:33 a.m. No alarms, no locked doors, no resistance. The heavy latch clicks behind him, and from this moment on, every second he's inside is borrowed time for the children in rooms 111 and 112. He turns left down the hallway, heading straight toward the 4th grade wing. He raises his rifle and fires a short burst, blowing out ceiling tiles and corridor lights. Shattered glass rains down. Teachers begin locking doors. In room 112, Ava Miralles yells, "Lock down now," and slams her door. Red strobe lights flash, the fire alarm misfires. Only a dull buzzing fills the hall. At 11:34 a.m., Ramos reaches room 111, fires into the window of the locked door, and reaches in to unlock it from the inside.
Wow.
He steps in and opens fire. The adjoining door into room 112 is left open during the scramble. That's his next target. Now he controls both rooms. Over the next minutes, he moves freely.
That kid got lucky. What the
Now he
fuck?
controls both rooms. Over the next minutes, he moves freely between rooms 111 and 112, shooting students and teachers. More than 24 children and 2 teachers are trapped with him. Many are hit. Some die instantly. Others will bleed out waiting for help. At 11:35 a.m., the first Uvalde police cruiser screeches into the parking lot. 3 city officers sprint inside to the west door.
What the fuck?
2 carrying rifles, 1 a sidearm. They do not yet know where the shooter is, but his gunfire guides them. 11:36 a.m. 2 school district officers, including Chief Pete Arredondo,
So what time did they?
into room 1 rooms. Over the next minutes, he moves freely between
So
rooms
11:33.
111 and 112, shooting students and teachers. More than 24 children and 2 teachers are trapped with him. Many are hit. Some die instantly. Others will bleed out waiting for help. At 11:35 a.m., the first Uvalde police cruiser screeches into the parking lot. 3 city officers
The dude fell.
sprint inside to the west door. 2 carrying rifles, 1 a sidearm. They do not yet know where the shooter is, but his gunfire guides them. 11:36 a.m.
11:36, 3 minutes.
2 school district officers, including Chief Pete Arredondo, 2 more Uvalde PD officers, push in through a different entrance on the south side. Seconds later, 3 additional city officers and another school officer follow the first trio through the west door. In all, 7 officers are now in the hallway without a clear tactical leader and no ballistic shields. 11:37 a.m. They edge towards room 111-112. Ramos fires a tight volley through the classroom door window. Sheetrock dust explodes, metal fragments tear into the shoulder of one officer. The group retreats around the corner. Body cam footage capture a frantic exchange. "We need shields. He's still active," the officers shout. 11:38 a.m. Inside room 112, a 10-year-old girl clutches her teacher's cell phone, whispering to the dispatcher, "Please hurry. He shot my friend." The call stays open. Muted sobs and intermittent pops bleed through the line. 11:39 a.m. The officers huddle
This has been like 7
behind a
minutes,
cinder
8
block
minutes.
wall. One keys his radio. Subject contained to this office. But this isn't true. Shots are still being fired, but the
6
phrase
minutes.
becomes an excuse to pause. No one tries the door again. At 11:40 a.m.,
Bro, where are they going?
a mass text, "Shooter at Rob," ripples through town. Parents race to the school. Many got there before the tactical team did. Some had received texts from their children trapped inside. They begged to be let in. They offered to go in themselves. Instead, they were held back. Some were tackled. Others were pepper sprayed. One mother, Angelique Rose Gomez, was handcuffed by a U.S. Marshal for interfering. After being released, she jumped a fence, ran inside, grabbed her 2 sons, and got them out safely.
Oh shit.
Armed officers still held their position in the hallway. Dozens of armed officers hold back crying, screaming parents for over an hour while their kids bled out inside. And back inside, 7 officers pressed themselves against cinder block walls. No shields, no command post,
Bro, they should have went in there. Someone's gotta risk their life.
no plan. At
Come
11:44
on.
a.m., a lone shot cracks from room 111. Drywall grit floats through the fluorescent lights. Officers flinch but hold. Active shooter doctrine says, move to the threat, yet no one moves. 11:48 a.m. School district officer Ruben Ruiz rushes in, radioing that his wife, teacher Ava Miralles, is bleeding inside.
Dang.
Fellow officers pull his gun and escort him out. The hallway shrinks back to paralysis. 11:52 a.m. A deputy drags a level 4 shield to the hall junction. One officer whispers, "Let's go." Another answers, "We need keys." The shield stays parked, the door remains closed.
Wow.
11 minutes later,
It's been a whole hour.
12:03 p.m. A 10-year-old girl in room 112 dials 911 again. There are 8 or 9 of us still alive. Dispatch relays the plea over police radios. Officers in the hallway hear it, still, they do not advance. 12:10 p.m.
What is going on?
More shields stack. Officers don gas masks and haul CS launchers, but no one authorizes their use. The hallway becomes a staging area, not an assault lane. 12:15 p.m. A dozen Border Patrol tactical agents, BORTAC, equivalent to police SWAT, some off-duty, enter with breaching tools and medic kits. They're ready to go. They offer to breach almost immediately, but were told
Look at his eyes.
it's. They're ready to go. They offer to breach almost immediately.
Look at. He's like, what's going on? Look at. He's literally saying, "We're like, what the fuck? What's the hold up here?" He said, "It's gonna be a fuck up. This is gonna be a big fuck up."
But were told to stand down by Police Chief Arredondo. 12:21 p.m. Muzzle flashes flicker under the classroom door. 4 rounds. Dust wafts into the hallway. Officers debate keys, snipers, windows. Time bleeds away. 12:35 p.m.
A whole hour.
A Halligan breaching bar and a sledgehammer arrive, but Chief Arredondo insists the door is locked. Body cam footage records him rifling through key rings, testing none. 12:47 p.m.
Damn.
Arredondo finally
Fuck.
gives the green light, but only if someone distracts the shooter through the window first.
Why did they do that a long time ago?
BORTAC ignores the suggestion and forms a 4-man stack. 12:50 p.m. Using a janitor's key, BORTAC opens room 111, a door that may never even have been locked, and they flood in. Ramos bursts from a supply closet firing. The 4 BORTAC officers return fire. 27 rounds in seconds. Ramos falls. Children, still alive, are carried past rows of officers who never stepped inside. 77 minutes passed from the first 911 call to the final shot. 400 officers answered the radio. Only 4 crossed the threshold. But why? Was it fear? Was it broken leadership? Was it a national climate still raw from George Floyd's death 2 years earlier, with the "Fund the Police" chants echoing, and a brand new White House ordering tight oversight that pushed officers into a cover your ass mode? Whatever the excuse, it doesn't really matter. Because like me, you took an oath. And part of that oath was to protect the community. Not just when it's easy, but when it's hard, when it's dangerous, and even when there's a chance you
That
might
you
not
might die.
come home. In the hours after the breach, state officials gave a press conference, full of praise. They credited officers with running towards gunfire, called it a textbook response, and claimed the shooter had been engaged immediately. Well, none of that was true. Over the following days, the timeline fell apart. Footage leaked. Parents spoke out. The Texas Department of Public Safety began to change its story, again and again. Uvalde School Police Chief Arredondo claimed he didn't consider himself the on-scene commander, even though his officers and gear were inside. He said the classroom door was locked. It wasn't. He said they were waiting for keys, but they had them. He said he was making decisions to preserve life, but the only people whose lives were preserved were outside the door. Texas Department of Public Safety Director Steve McGraw, under mounting pressure, did. The on-scene commander made terrible decisions. There's no excuse for that. In January of 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice released a 600-page report confirming what the public already suspected. There was a lack of leadership, training, and coordination, systemic breakdowns in communication, and a failure to prioritize innocent lives. According to the DOJ, every officer who stood in that hallway violated active shooter protocol, which has been standard since Columbine. The first priority is to stop the shooter, not to wait, not to contain, but stop. Chief Arredondo was fired 3 months after the massacre. Uvalde's entire school police force was suspended, and a handful of other officers resigned or were reassigned. But as of now, no criminal charges have been filed. Families of the victims have filed multiple lawsuits, including against the gun manufacturer and the Uvalde police. Robb Elementary has since been demolished. The survivors?
Oh shit, really? Damn.
The police. Robb Elementary has since been demolished.
Damn.
The survivors? Many are still in therapy, and some may never return to school. And despite the public outcry, key agencies are still hiding the truth. The city of Uvalde only released body cam footage, 911 calls, and internal emails 2 years later, after losing a lawsuit to a group of journalists. And they did so against the wishes of District Attorney Christina Mitchell, who argued that releasing records could interfere with the prosecution of 2 school district officers, including the former chief. But attorneys for the news organizations say there's no evidence to support that claim, and under Texas law, those records are public. Meanwhile, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the school district police, and the Uvalde County Sheriff's Office are still fighting to keep their records sealed, so we're left with a partial picture. Over 19 children and 2 teachers were trapped inside for over an hour. At least some of them were still alive, well into the standoff. Some called 911, some bled out. The officers outside had rifles,
Wow.
shields, training, radios,
Their own people, their own kid to die.
but they didn't have the one thing, the will to act.
That's what I'm saying.
So here's the question. What would you have done if your child was behind that door? And if
Dude,
the
I'm running in there. Guns blazing.
answer is, I would have gone in, then why didn't they? Before we end this story,
I don't care to, like, come on.
we must acknowledge the victims. Because if we're going to talk about the failure, we need to remember who paid for it. These weren't just students and teachers. They were sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, people with dreams, birthdays, and futures that were stolen. So here they are.
Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments or
Like, comment, subscribe, and get your new mail.
Bye, have a great time.